Marilyn Devonish here from transformationstm.com, and I have a little bit of catching up to do for Tarot Tuesday. What happened earlier on this week? Well, a couple of weeks ago, I put a post up saying Tarot Tuesday is coming up. There are a couple of people who replied on another thread on my main page, and I neglected to include them in the main readings yesterday. So I did 10 readings and then realized I'd missed a couple of people out. So what I said I would do is do their readings now as a catch up. So one of those, actually I'll call them, one's for M, and you know who you are because I've already asked your permission, and one's for S. Oh, I'm doing for Marks and Spencer's. So I'm going to, actually I haven't decided what decks I'm going to use. Well, I know which deck I'm not using for M, that's for sure. Hold on a minute. Give me a moment. I will just decide which deck I'm going to use. I'll be back in one. I don't have to go very far, just over here. Let's see. So I'm definitely going to use that one. Maybe a bit of Raphael. Yeah, I think I'll. It's a toss-up between these. So, okay, rightio. So, pulling first for M. Actually, let's keep it all straight. Let's put you on the Tarot Tuesday list as well, because I like to make a little note of the readings I've done and what the cards were, because people often go, oh my god, that card you pulled for me was just spot on, and I'm like, I have no idea what the card was. So I just have a little look see. So this is going to be for M. And so I'll do it the way I do it. This is something I do every single month in my membership group, so anyone who wants a reading can just put their name in the thread, and I will then. So the way I choose the cards is I'm going to do it the way I do it, but let me just show you if you're not familiar. I choose the cards face down like that, so I'm holding them away from me so that I can't see what the card is, and then there's a card or two that always leaps out at me in terms of the way that I choose it. So that's the way I do it. So I'm holding the person in mind that I'm reading for. And for those of you who've been in the group, oh my god, for one of the I used the Raphael deck for someone this week. I picked the card that said decluttering, and she wrote on the thread the next day, she said, I've just come back from my daughter's house, we spent all day decluttering and I've got a load of stuff in the boot of my car. So it is often that ridiculously uncanny and specific, because that's like random, of all the decks and all the things I could pick, why that one? Anyway, so we're gonna pick for M here. I'm going to go with that card, whatever that is. I will see it in a moment. Okay. So let me show you just so you can see what it is. This one is the Four of Gabriel. Not sure if you were to read that. It's often a little bit pixelated. So this is for M. So this is the Four of Gabriel. What the message on this card says: time for celebration, exclamation mark. Abundant rewards for hard work. Release yourself from burdensome situations. Right, before I go too far, I'm going to do exactly what I do on Tarot Tuesday, which is write the card down and take a photograph of it, because what I do is I always put the photos in the group, because oftentimes when people have a look at the card for themselves, there will be messages that they see and things that kind of stand out for them. So let's just keep it all straight, and then I'm good to go. Alrighty. So Four of Gabriel, let's see what we've got here with this one. Oh god, I hate to say it. And she's gonna know why I'm just closing my eyes and going, I hate to say it, because she's been bugging me about this for 2 years. Right, where my finger is, I'm going to see if I can hold it up to the camera without the light shining on it. It's a castle. So, and she will laugh her head off when she sees that, because she's been bugging me to hire a castle in Scotland and run a retreat. But the thing that stands out to me at the moment is there's going to be something that's coming up to do with this with this castle, with this kind of castle energy. I'm not even going to say anything more about that because I know she's going to come straight back at me and go, right, when are we running the retreat? Because she's already sent me the links to the castles in Scotland. She sent me pictures of all the bedrooms with the 4-poster beds, and she's been banging on about it. It might even be 3 years now that she wants me to do it, but it almost feels like this thing with the castle is now on the horizon in terms of the context of your work. And it might be that you're going to be going there, you're going to be doing something there. It might even be that you decide to have some time off and a holiday and a retreat, and end up in a place that has that castle-esque isn't really a word, but you end up in a place that has that castle-esque energy. It's almost like the opulence of it, the abundance of it, the size and the magnitude of it. But it's going to be, even if it was a modern building, there's going to be something about it, or maybe it's got an annex which is really old, and it's got that old brickwork, that old stonework. So that'll be one to kind of be looking out for. Coming back to this one, I think if there was an overarching very funny because it's the roses are on the arch, but I was going to say, I think if there was an overarching message, this is going to be the one that says wake up and smell the roses. Sometimes in one of the readings I did this week, for instance, I was reminding someone to stop and smell the roses. That's a whole different context. This one says wake up and smell the roses, because it's almost as though you have become quite blinkered in what you've been doing. And if you were to just do that, and ideally do that and do that, you would have the sense of just seeing the beauty of the world, because it feels as though you've been, how can I say this? Don't take it personally. It feels like you've been quite insular, quite isolated, and dare I say, a little bit jaded. And so you've almost forgotten how beautiful the world is. You've almost not remembered about all of the incredible, amazing, wonderful things are, because your vision for the moment has been tainted and coloured by whatever it is that's going on. So this is one about taking the blinkers off and reminding yourself, almost to the point where it's often seen as a negative thing, where people say, oh God, you're looking at the world through rose-coloured glasses. But this is one where you might be actively encouraged to do so. It's a bit like the card, hold on, let me just grab it. It's a bit like the card that sits on my desk. I don't know if you can read that. Let me get it right. So this is the short version of the quote from Roald Dahl, which says, those who don't believe in magic will never find it. The longer version of this, it says, and above all, watch with glittering eyes the whole world around you, because the greatest secrets are always hidden in the most unlikely places. Those who don't believe in the magic will never find it. And it's one of my absolutely favorite quotes, which is why it sits here on my desk. And give me a second. So I've been gassing all day. Leaky lid. And so it's one of my favorite quotes, and if this feels like that card where the magic is there, the magic is all around you, and for whatever reason, because you've had your head down and almost been in isolation mode, you just haven't noticed. Let's see what else. Now it could be, because when you look at this card, there's a man and a woman. It's not a Raphael, because Raphael is the one who's often associated with romance and love, but this feels like there could be a male supportive energy coming in. So it doesn't necessarily have to be romance, although that's not to say it couldn't be on the card. But this, because the way sometimes it just looks like straight out romance, this card. And as you guys will know, if you've been in the membership group a while, I could pull the same card, and I have on occasions pulled the same card 5, 6, 7 times on the same readings for different people, but it looks different. There's something about it each time that has a different message, and that happened today, well, for Tarot Tuesday this week, with the Diet is Important card. It came up twice, but it looked different for both of the people that I read for. And so this one, it feels like there's going to be a male support coming in, and it feels as though that person is already there. They might not yet have shown themselves in the support capacity, or it might be that immediately I say that, somebody comes to mind, you go, it's that. It's like the male energy coming in, offering that sense of support. You know, I can hear the song now. I've got goosebumps as well, right, in terms of where we're going. Lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. So it feels as though you've been shouldering the burden a long time and a lot. and this male energy is going to be there for you to lean on, even if it's just what we call for, you know, mental, emotional, moral support. There's going to be the male energy that comes in. I know that sounds weird because you've got boys in terms of your domestic setup, but this is adult male energy. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. Let's not get into semantics about it. You know exactly what I mean. Anything else? Anything else? Anything else? Anything else? No, I was going to say pastures new, but it actually feels like you're already in pastures new. Sometimes this card, it's as though somebody's going to be stepping into pastures new. It feels like you're already in pastures new. And so it's just about getting used to your new surroundings, and it feels like there's going to be another new pasture, but it's not going to be a million miles away from what you're currently doing. It's not like you're going to be moving to Australia or something like that. But although it wouldn't be funny now if you go, oh, I'm going to Australia, but I know you're not. Well, I know you're not because you're my friend, but anyway. But it feels like there's going to be another new pasture, like another new avenue or aspect that's coming up for you as well. So yeah, so that's what I'd say about that one. But this one is remembering a magical universe, you know, making a conscious decision to see the roses, making a conscious decision to see the magic and getting yourself replugged in to the amazing lushness that this world has to offer. Cool. So that's M done. Victoria, yes, you did. Victoria, would you like me to do your reading? If you would, type yes into the conversation thread. And I'm going to apologize in advance because my Facebook Live has been doing something a little bit weird, and it's not always showing me the questions that come through until after I finish the live. But I have got my iPad here today, so I'll double check it on both. But Victoria, if you would like a reading, just type yes into the comments thread, and I will do one for you as well. But yes, you did miss the Tarot Tuesday thread. Right, this is going to be for S. All right. And I think also for S, I'm going to maybe also, because it felt like the Raphael deck as well, so I'm going to pull you a quick one from Raphael also. So for S, I'm going to go with that one there, whatever that is. Victoria, yes, please. I'm so sorry to miss it. Cool. I know it's the absolute favorite day of the week for the membership group. It's kind of crazy. Okay, Page of Michael. So let's get the system right. So Page of Michael for S. Alrighty, so let me show you this one, and I will of course post the picture in the group. I'll take a photo of it in a second. See if you can see that. Page of Michael. And I'll post the photo as well so you can see it properly in the membership group. Lights, camera, action. Alrighty. So Page of Michael, here we go. Characteristics of the Page of Michael. Oh, Victoria, you're amazing too, Victoria. Thank you. Characteristics for the Page of Michael: truthful, perceptive, analytical, blunt, like straight to the point. So the message on the card says, an exciting new challenge, exclamation mark. You have what it takes to succeed. Review contracts or documents very thoroughly. And this is the one where the Page of Michael is flying one of those slightly complicated kites. And I say slightly complicated because years ago I had a partner who lived up near the Bristol Downs, and he used to fly one of these big kites where you've got spools in both hands, and it actually takes quite a bit of work to coordinate that. So it feels as though you are in a position where you're trying to coordinate almost like these two very different and distinct things, and there's a bit of a breeze as well, and it's been a little bit stormy. And so it's saying, look, don't get caught up in the eye of the storm. How can I say this? I think there was a saying, it's like a platitude: don't lose your head when all around you others are losing theirs. This is the time where, and no matter how busy it is, no matter how much you feel, as though you are caught up in the eye of the storm and the eye of the hurricane. You've still got to look at everything clearly. You've still got to take a deep breath in. You still got to get to, how can I say, very funny, I don't even know what that song is, but oh, I do, Take Me to Higher Love. But it's like you've got to get yourself to higher ground. So the way I'm going to put this, it might be a little bit of a mouthful, so just give me a moment. When I did my business studies degree, we had an economics teacher. His little saying, which none of us understood, so it used to annoy the hell out of us, was, you say sometimes you can't see the wood for the trees, and he'd move his head like that when he said it, and we were like, what is he talking about? But this is exactly it. And what he meant by that is, if you are too close to something, like you're in the forest, okay, this is the tree. If your nose is right up against it, you can't see the wood for the tree, because somebody will say, what are you looking at? Or what? And you go, I don't know, it's just everywhere. Whereas if you stand back for a moment, you will then be able to see the wood from the trees, if that makes sense. And so it feels as though, with regards to this one, when I say higher ground, you've almost got to, in NLP terms, we call it going meta to a situation, where you're above the situation, or you stat, or in perceptual positions, one of those, you know, but it's either go above it, okay, let me just now look back down on this situation, or you take a step out in terms of perceptual position. So you're no longer seeing it from your point of view and just like, oh my God, you take a step back so you can take in the whole landscape. So this one feels like, and the clouds today remind me of breath. So one of the suggestions I'm going to give you, if it's been a while since you've done it, because it's so easy to do some Hoo-na-ha breathing. It might be that you're at work and it's crazy and it's frenetic. So while you're either walking to the bathroom or while you're in the bathroom, just do 20 to 30 seconds of ha breathing. If you can't remember how to do it, ask me. I'll do a little write-up in the membership group to remind you. But I'm pretty sure you've known me for a long time. You're like, yeah, probably got it. But you know, it's that whole thing about creating the space. And I was going to say taking the space, but I can't even say that, because it's almost like you know the conditions are such, you haven't got the time to take the space. So your job over the coming weeks, and this feels like in the next 4 to 6 weeks, your job over the coming weeks is going to be creating the space, which is why I'm saying do the hard breathing while you walk to the bathroom or while you're in the bathroom, because you're not maybe going to be afforded the luxury of going, I'm just going off now for a meditation break into Om. No, it might not happen, but you can still kind of go, do you know what? I'm looking at what's going on, and I'm going to find ways to create the space that I need, because you're going to need to have a clear head. There may be a couple of things that you're responsible for getting out the door, which may even have legal implications. And so if things don't go absolutely right, some of that might come back on you, even if it's got nothing to do with you. But if you were the one charged with looking at this thing and you know, I don't know, rubber stamping it, signing it off, whatever it is, you've got to be on the ball. So this is one, it's all about, you know, getting perspective. It's all about being able to rise above something. It's being able to take a step back. It's about being objective. And it's about being able to kind of clear your head so you have clarity of thought. And so you don't metaphorically, or even in real terms, get your wires crossed, is the way that I would put it there. And where it's talking about the perceptive and the analytical, it really feels as though this one is definitely about being required to look something over it, like papers, contracts, agreements, something like that. And so you've got to be clear in terms of what it is you're looking for, so that it kind of lands. So that's what I would say about that one. So this one, you know, feels like, yes, life might be busy, but this one really feels as though it's in the context of work, and it's also in the context of your physical, mental and emotional state, and carving out those pieces of time to get yourself in balance and to get yourself in alignment. So that's what I'd say about that one. And I did say, I was just going to very quickly grab a Raphael card for you as well, because this, when I was thinking about you, this is a deck that was also going, pick me, pick me. So so this is still for S. Ooh, I'm going to go with that one there. Not again, for God's sake. This is the third time it's come up for Tarot Tuesday this month, but okay, it is what it is. And I was laughing last time because it's like, clearly Raphael has a message to deliver, and it resonated with several people. So here we go again. But let me show you the card, as it's a different video, right? And you won't have to then sit through the other 10 readings. So here we go. This is Raphael, and it says, diet is important. Right. So, message on this card says, dear because these are like little prayers. Dear Archangel Raphael, thank you for guiding me to make positive eating and drinking choices, and for reducing or eliminating my cravings for unhealthful substances. And so this one, you know, similar vibe to the 2 readings that I did a couple of days ago for 2 people on the Tarot Tuesday run. This one is about, and again, we're definitely back to the balance thing. So I was saying about holding the 2 spools. There are 2 angels holding this basket of fruit. And so this one is then coming, and it feels like we're now looking at next week and beyond. So this one feels like we're looking at getting back into balance. We're looking at the way I kind of previously described it, think of it in terms of percentages, and what percentage of your food, because I'm not about, you know, I'm always on the seafood diet, seafood and eat it. I love food. So I'm not about saying, oh, you should eat this or you should eat that. I just love food. I love food. And I have whatever in a mood for. Today I was at an event at the Crow's Nest Gallery, and somebody made homemade lemon drizzle cake. Oh my God, delicious. So I'm a fan of having what you want and eating what your body desires, because that's a whole different ball game in terms of being in rapport and dialogue about that. And also I would say, particularly if you've kind of been eating on the run, kind of eating pre-prepared food, all that kind of thing, this is just looking at the balance of that and saying, look, what percentage of my food is fresh? What I would say grown in and of the earth versus what I call beige food. And so this one is finding more of a sense of balance. So it might be you continue to do exactly what you're doing it now, because you don't always have to make those massive big changes straight away, because that's where people hit the wall, that's where people hit cold turkey, that's where your body can actually go into a little bit of a shock. But this one might be saying, look, I'm going to add an extra piece of fruit, I'm going to add and throw on a bit of extra veg, and it's just about gently changing the dynamic. The voice in my ear is also saying, remember that water, because that's a really important part of it as well. And so Raphael is kind of gently saying that he suspects you're not drinking enough water. So if that resonates, if it's very, okay, noted, because yeah. Okay. So I've had the bottle upside down, so a lot of the water is settled in the top. So every time I drink from it, it's dripping down. It's been in my bag all day. So one of the things that Raphael is saying is he suspects you're not drinking enough water. So whatever it is you're drinking, maybe add an extra glass or 2 per day to also get that sense of balance. I don't know why he would be talking about homeostasis, but that's the thing that that comes to mind as I think about that. So yeah, this one is about balance. So it's not a directive about, oh dear, don't eat this, don't eat that, boom, 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 boom. And you know for yourself, you might hear this and you might laugh and go, yeah, Marilyn, you know what, totally. Because what somebody in the group this card came up for, they've been away for 2 weeks, and they said they've been eating cakes, more cakes and more cakes and more cakes, because there have been celebrations, there have been birthdays, and this card came up for them as a, you know, so it's almost like the universe is having a bit of a laugh, and they're like, yeah, I know. And so you will know kind of what's been going on for you with regards to food and eating on the go. And the little dialogue, and the dialogue is also, and also tell her that if it really had to come to it, frozen veg is also better than, you know, no veg, because sometimes you're not even in the position to go out and get fresh stuff and then want to, you know, saute it or boil it or whatever. But this one is saying, look, if you've got a bit of capacity in the freezer, at least throw some frozen fruit and veg in there, so that you can kind of, you know, get it that way as well. But it's all going to be about the balance thing again. So much like Archangel Michael and see, I've got the goosebumps, so it's definitely about balance if there's going to be a word. So very much like Archangel Michael was balancing those 2 spools, these 2 are balancing that basket. So it's definite. So I'll take a picture of both of them just so you can get the comparison and see it for yourself. Okay, right, so you go back into Raphael. Thanks, Raphael, for the third time. It's like, okay, 3 times convincer. We're all listening now. Thank you very much. And Victoria. So Victoria says, thank you. You know how much I love these readings because you are always, capital A, so spot on, exclamation mark ×4. So Victoria, do you have a preference with regards to which deck I use, or do you want me just to use the Archangel Power? But as you know, we've probably got about 12 different decks. The Goddess, I've got Archangel Michael, Raphael here, Romance, Healing, Talking to the Angels, Talking to Heaven, Messages from the Angels, Angel Answers, Angels of Abundance. So if you have a preference with regards to your deck, let me know. And while I'm giving you a chance to type, let's see if I can dry this thing up a bit so it doesn't look like I'm dribbling all over the place every 5 minutes. Clean me lid while we're about it. So yeah, if you've got a preference with regards to deck, and normally, I mean, I would say the majority of people in the group are like, no, choose a deck, it's always right, go for whatever you want, which I call dealer's choice and almost a cold read. But if you did have a preference, just let me know. That's better. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, and so Tarot Tuesday, for those of you for whom this is a new experience, happens every single month in my membership group. So I've got a membership group we run on Facebook. There's also a membership group website. So everything we do in terms of the videos, the readings, the teleseminars, the webinars, the various kind of, we have themes that run throughout the month. So we've got Motivation Monday is how we kick off the month, with does what it says on the tin. It's all about inspiration. We've got Tarot Tuesday, which is what we do now. We always do this one as a Facebook Live where I do readings for anyone who would like one, much like you've just seen. We've got Wisdom Wednesday, which is always like a think tank sort of SAPs where I'm going back through times. We've been back as far as Aristotle and Socrates and all that sort of stuff, and just bringing forth ancient wisdom and showing how we can use it in the now. We have Think Tank Thursday, which is like a coaching and consultancy style call. I also do that one via Facebook Live, so people can ask anything they want. Focus Friday is where we do a wrap up for the month. So we do a debrief of what's happened. We're looking at focusing for the month ahead. Sharing Saturday, it is what it is in terms of that's where I might run bonus teleseminars, webinars, share with you cool things that I found and discovered. You know, whatever it is we want. We've also got a series that's running throughout the year, the Access Abundance series, where we're going through pretty much the wheel of life and creating a series of coaching and access and Huna exercises around that. And then we've got Soul Food Sunday, which is something to touch the soul. So that runs, you know, throughout the month, both via Facebook if you frequent Facebook, but also there's a website where everything is archived as well, so you can very easily dip in. Romance. Okay, let's get the romance on. Dun, 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 dun. So, keep myself organized, because otherwise then by the end of Tarot Tuesday, if I don't keep myself organized, the desk looks like Crazyville. So, romance. So, we have one romance deck coming up. So this is for Victoria. So we want give them a good old shuffle. I've not used these ones for, well, actually I used them the other day for Tarot Tuesday, but it's been a while, generally speaking, since they've been out and had a bit of an airing. So shake them up a bit. Right, so, all right, I'm going to go for that one there. See what it is. Okay, so hold that up for a sec so you can see it. Hang on, the light is shining on it. Let's go. Love Yourself First, this one is called. So, yes, brain, we'll get back to the system. Okay, so where were we? Love yourself first. So the message on this one says your self-respect makes you romantically attractive. Now, this one for me sometimes feels a bit like, so I'm going to hold it up again. And if you can, look at the face of the guy. Hang on, let's go this way. Look at the face of the man and look at the face of the woman. She's all in. She's all in. He is kind of looking in the other direction. So she's not throwing herself at him, but she's giving far more, and he's actually not that interested. And actually, we had a very interesting conversation today. I was at the gallery, which is, you know, supporting artists, a lot of whom have autism, and I met somebody who's a high function, who's what you call, she has high functioning autism, and she was talking about the gaslighting that happens for people with autism. And I was saying, you know, there's a very similar thing in the context of relationships. So this isn't quite gaslighting, not quite that severe, but this is someone who, you know, potentially, if you haven't done the work where you want to get yourself in alignment with you, and where you have a sense of, you know, what are you looking for, what's going to feed, what's going to nourish your soul, it's almost as though you could find yourself in the position where you're chasing after someone, and they're interested but not that interested. They're, oh, you'll do, you're there, but that level of what we might call commitment that you would be looking for, and the level of commitment you desire isn't there. But it's all right while you're in it, it's not a problem. But if you really looked at it, you know, in terms of, if you thought about relationships, let's say being 50-50, give and take, and even if it's 110 and 98 and all that sort of stuff, it ebbs and it flows. But this one feels like it will be potentially completely one-sided, with you doing all the running, with you doing all the chasing. And so the question then would come back to, okay, why are you doing that, and what drives that? What is the thing that you'd be trying to get and fulfill, etc., etc., that you would imagine would be fulfilled by having this other person there? But really, it's the whole thing about filling the hole, rather than it even being anything to do with that person, because you could substitute someone else in, and it really wouldn't make that much difference. And this one is also about when you get the sense of, you know, the thing I'm going to say is, you know when you know. You know when you know. You know when someone's paying lip service versus you know when someone's all in. You know when someone genuinely cares versus they care for the moment that they're there, but as soon as you're out of sight, out of mind, it's on to the next thing. And so this, and I think that sense of, how can I say, self-discernment, if that's the way I'm going to put it, I think this sense of self-discernment will come when we come back to this whole thing about making the time for yourself, making the time for loving yourself, making the time for respecting who you are, appreciating the value that you bring, appreciating what you bring to the table, and not letting anything or anyone diminish that. And it's come back into my head again, the thing we were talking about today. I was saying to the woman in question, I was saying it's a very old film, but look up the film Fanny by Gaslight, where the guy systematically drives his wife mad by messing about. It starts with, you know, it was in the days where they used gaslighting, and essentially he would mess about with the lights in the house. He'd be hiding in the attic when he pretended he'd gone to work, and he'd be doing all this crazy stuff which actually made her doubt herself, and she was already slightly unstable anyway, which is what he'd made her believe. And so this one feels like, if you are not, how can we say, stable and solid within yourself, if you haven't established that sense of self-value, that sense of self-esteem, that sense of self-worth, that sense of self-trust, then anything and anyone could come in and erode your confidence and cause you to think you are losing your freaking mind, and have you doubting yourself, have you doubting your behavior, even have you doubting your own motivations, where you almost think you've gone a bit crazy. And so this one is really about almost like setting your own foundation, making sure you are right and true and solid within yourself, so that, how can I say this nicely, you won't take any BS. And you will know when you smell something that's a little bit fishy. You'll know when actually this isn't all right here. You will know when you're like, this feels completely out of balance and this feels completely one-sided, with me doing all of the running, with me doing all of the chasing, with me doing all of the apologizing, with me doing all of the trying to explain myself, with me going, oh my God, caught me on the back foot again, I'm such a terrible person. And if any of that sounds like it has potentially been a pattern, then this will be the little shake up and reminder that you might have a little bit more work to do there, that there might be a little bit more of that puzzle that you want to look at in terms of getting these foundations straight, so that nobody can come in and, I'll put it politely, rain on your parade and undermine you to the point where you're second guessing yourself and thinking that you're not worthy and thinking that you're not good enough and thinking that you're not capable enough and all of those other things that can get bound up in this. It also feels like they might have been so wonderful that you almost get swept up into the whirlwind of it all and you lose your senses. So yeah, I think it's just a little nudge. Part of it feels like you're talking about the past, and part of it feels like, how can I say this? A friend of mine used to put it in the context of relationships. Sometimes you get the warm-up guy who lets you know Jesus is coming, the way that she puts it. And the warm-up is like a test. It's almost like something, and it might even just be really fleeting, but it feels like something is going to happen, which is a little bit of a tester to go, have you really sorted this out? Have you really now got your radar clear? And so it might give you a little bit of a test just to kind of go, has she got the message? Has she, has she nailed it? Is she confident enough to put those boundaries down? If somebody's going to see if they can play them, test them, push them. So you might have another little scenario that comes up which appears to run an old pattern, but it's actually not. It's just kind of saying, have you sorted this? Have you sorted it? And are you ready now for, I was going to say the big one, the main event? It's that sort of thing. Are you really ready? And it could be, because, sometimes people come and they push their luck. They'll do something just because they can. They'll do something just because they've always done it. And so even though it might be the tester, it doesn't mean you have to discard them and get rid. It might just be testing your boundaries and kind of going, are you ready for what we want to give you? And to put this on an equal footing, because sometimes when you lay out the boundaries for someone, they can go from someone that annoys the heck out of you or doesn't appear to get you, to somebody who becomes really solid in terms of friendship. It might be in terms of romance, however, it might be in terms of business partnerships, whatever it might be. But it almost feels like you're going to have a little bit of a nudge and a little bit of a test just to go, have you handled this? Have you got this? Are you ready? Are you going to put those boundaries down, and are you going to enforce those boundaries? And are you going to have clarity on what it is you're looking for and also what you're giving? Because this really should be a two-way street. So yeah, it feels like, it's all about the self, and not in a selfish way, just in terms of, getting yourself into alignment so you know who you are and what you want. And I was saying to a friend recently that I sometimes feel like, I don't know if it's just because the clock hit 50 a few months ago, but it almost feels like I could sometimes be in an episode of Grumpy Old Woman. It used to be a TV series. And what it was, I was like, man, because I remember as a child, the older women took no BS. They took no prisoners. They were like, if they didn't like something that was going on, if they think you've overstepped the mark, they're going to tell you, no uncertain terms. And I've realized that, not always, I'd say for the first 32 years of my life, I was a little bit of a mouse. I was a mouse, let's make no bones about it. And in the last 18 years, of course, I've been slightly more vocal in who I am and what I do and what I'm about and blah, blah, blah. So, let's not pretend that I've been a shrinking violet in the last 18 years. I haven't. But I would say it's ramped up a notch now. And I'm thinking maybe that's just because I've seen a fair bit of the world, and I know what I perceive to be right for me and what I perceive to be, for want of a better term, out of order. And this is the energy that feels like is brewing with this one. So hope that makes sense and that gives you a little bit of food for thought. But yeah, it's like it's laying down the gauntlet. You've done the work. How's it going? Let's just see. You're going to graduate this class once and for all now. Get this thing sorted. Let's go. Cool, cool, cool. Fabuloso. Well, there you have it in terms of the Tarot Tuesday roundup. Let me just see this thing and make sure I haven't missed anything. If I can get it to move in terms of messages, but I think I'm all good with regards to that. Let's just give it a little whiz. Actually, do you know what? Thank you. Cool, cool, cool. Actually, there was somebody in the group, I'm not going to say your name, but you missed it as well. Now, I am not setting a precedent here. The thread for Tarot Tuesday goes up in good time, and you guys try and often bully me into putting it up ages in advance, and they've actually tricked me into doing 2 or 3 Tarot Tuesdays in quick succession, because they're very crafty like that. So don't get it into your head. If you don't put your name on the thread, I'm going to just do extra Tarot Tuesdays. The reason I'm doing this one, because I personally missed off a couple of people who posted on my page as opposed to in the group at my invitation, and I just didn't include them, because when I did it this week, I was in the membership group page and I was just going down the list, and I didn't then jump over to my main page. So don't be thinking just because you've missed Tarot Tuesday, I'm going to do extra videos and extra readings. That's not the way it's going to work. So this is not laying a precedent, but given that I've done one for Victoria, for the person who said, oh my God, I missed it, and I know you haven't been feeling well, so I'm going to do one for you as well, and you are I won't say any more than that. So I'm going to use a Raphael deck for obvious reasons. God, if it's that diet one again, I'm going to do, like, you know, the kiddie shuffle where you put all the cards on the table and you do that. I'm going to do the kiddie shuffle just to make sure that they are totally messed up in terms of the diet card. Actually, then I'm going to make them all upside down as well. And then let's give them another shuffle. If I ever go to Vegas again, I might have to do a little training course in the old casino about handling and shuffling the cards. You know, that flash where they go whoosh, whoosh. Can't do that. Tried it once, all the cards went over the floor. Right, this is for, yay, get the system back in place. So this is for A, and we're going to use, let's see what we got. Victoria says, thank you for the reading for me. Perfect, thank you. Good, glad it resonated. Universe is like, she's been told. Right, so, right, I think we've sufficiently shuffled these now. Right, so this is for A. Do you know what? I'm going to go for this one here at the top end of the pack. Okay, so a little bit different. Raphael is also the Archangel of Love, so we've got relationships here. Message on this card says, Dear Archangel Raphael, thank you for healing and guiding all of my relationships upon the path of love. Right, so let's just and this one kind of feels like it's both about relationship with self and relationships with others. Cool. Very funny. All right, Britney Spears, Toxic. All right, so this one feels about relationship with self, relationship with others. What I'm going to say to you is, and this is just a question, it might apply, it might not, it might resonate, it might not. What I'm going to say to you here is, are there any relationships, and this could be in the context of work, this could be in the context of friendships, this could be in the context of colleagues, but the question here is, are there any relationships that come to mind that, from your perception, are toxic? And if so, what can be done to clean them up? Because it feels as though, and anyone who's been in, let's say, bad is such a just like a blanket word, but I'll just use it for now, you know what I mean. Anyone who's been in a bad relationship, you will know the effect that can actually have on your physical health, the effect it can have on your mind, the effect it can have on your brain. It can confuse the heck out of you. The effect it can have on your psyche. It can drain your energy. It can consume your thoughts. And normally when I say something like that, is there or are there any relationships that are kind of toxic in terms of the impact that they're having on you? And it doesn't say anything about the other person. The other person might be perfectly fine doing their own thing, and it's just the way that you react to them or around them. So it doesn't have to be what somebody's doing, they're doing bad things or anything like that. But normally when you say that, if it applies, something or someone, sorry, I've got a really long skirt on here and it's kind of got caught under the chair. Give me a sec. And so it almost feels like, then I moved and wheeled back over it again. It just feels like something or someone will come to mind when you think about that whole, what toxic would mean to you. And so it could be that this or these, because there might be more than one, relationships are kind of almost, if you think about it, being hooked into your energy field, and it's kind of just sapping away a bit more energy than it should. So what you might want to do, if there is a relationship or relationships that come to mind, and I'm pretty sure in the context of some of the things that we've done in the past, we would have at least talked about Ho'oponopono. Pretty sure we would have done it as well. And I mean that the full-on version, not rather than just the words. I'm talking about the cutting of the arca connections and the cords and the blades of white light. So you might want to do some cord cutting. Archangel Michael's going, remember me? Yes, sure. So Michael with his sword of light can also do exactly the same thing, coming in, cutting those links and ties and connections. And it almost feels like what we want here is a cleaning up of your energy field and cleaning up. And it could even be actually, and that's partly what it feels like as well. This kind of partly feels like carrying past remnants, imprints, and memories of relationships and friendships that have gone bad. So they might not even be in existence anymore, but for whatever reason you're still carrying them. You're carrying the energy of it, you're carrying the sorrow and the sadness of it, you're maybe carrying the guilt of it and how it played out, and oh, if only, and I wish I'd done this, and la 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 la. And it almost feels like, if I was going to sum this up in a short phrase, emotional baggage. So this one feels like, with regards to relationships, you want to clear up some of that old emotional baggage, particularly stuff that is legacy stuff that happened years or even decades ago. Look at the issues around guilt and sadness, because those feel like the predominant two that would be at play here. And look at what you can do to clean those up so that the energy of that does not get dragged into your current relationships and doesn't get projected onto anything or anyone else that you might be interacting with. And it feels as though when you do a bit of an energetic cleanup, your physical health and the amount of energy that is running through your body and your system will start to improve, and you will have more of a sense of vitality. And you will have, the best way I can describe it, you're going to have an abundance of energy that can be shared out to others and radiated out to others, rather than maybe at this point in time feeling that you've got to close down because you've got to conserve all of your physical energy. Otherwise, there's not going to be anything to run the system, because it feels like whatever this stuff is that's being carried is kind of a drain on your system. So it's almost like your batteries are being run down. So you're trying to recharge, and then there's stuff here that's hooked in that just sucking the energy right back out again. So it's like, okay, sort those out, cut those links and ties and connections, and then you can be in a position where your relationships feed and nurture you and energize you, and that is going to have also a knock-on effect on your health and the kind of the way that you are out in the world. Cool. Well, that's that. Alrighty, so that's pretty much how Tarot Tuesday runs. We're coming up to 2 years now with regards to the group. So if you're interested in joining us for future sessions, the membership, you can either join for a month, because sometimes people dip in and dip out as and when they maybe need a bit of support, a bit of insight, etc., etc. There's also the option of joining for a year, so you just get that sorted out once, and then that's kind of, and it's not a calendar month thing, but it just runs from wherever you join. And there's also the opportunity to be a lifetime member as well, where you pay once and then that's it, you never ever have to think about it again. You'll find information, I'll put a link into the description of this as well. It's www.marilynsmembershipgroup.eventbrite.com if you wanted to join us. yeah, so that's Tarot Tuesday. Hang on, I'm going to look at that. Sorry, that's Messenger. I'm going to look at that on here rather than there, because sometimes when you fiddle faddle about, if I click into Messenger, I'm in Facebook at the moment, probably just easier to leave that alone. Give me 1 second. Let me just have a look see at this. I saw something about a deck, so I presume it's about this. Okay, in answer to your question, no, it doesn't matter. Well, in my world, it doesn't matter, because they said, does it, you know, in terms of what's going on, does it matter what deck you use? Quite frankly, I think if you've assigned meanings, you could use playing cards. So it doesn't, and check with anyone who's in my membership group, because this is proven, this is played out time and time and time again. It does not matter which deck. If there's a message to be had, it will come up. We had somebody in the group 3 months straight. I use a different deck every single time for her reading. It was the same card, the same message every single time from completely different decks. So if there's a message to be had, it doesn't matter what deck. I used the Raphael deck for someone this week. It came out about decluttering. So it doesn't matter. So there are times, you guys in membership will know, this is the deck, it's my favorite deck, and it's pretty much the favorite deck of many people in the group as well. And so if there's a message to be had about healing, we'll pick a card that's to do with healing, even if we're not doing Raphael. If there's a message to be had about life purpose, even if we're not using the life purpose deck, the card about life purpose will come up. If there's an issue with romance and relationships, the card will come up about romance and relationships. So it doesn't really matter about the deck. I would say what really matters is clarity of intention. And what that doesn't mean, because I would say 9 times out of 10 for the group, I'm choosing the cards, and people don't even say what the reading's about. They just go, yes, I'd like a reading. Me too. Add me in. That's all I know. I have no idea what they're even thinking about, what they're asking about. And then if you read the comments in the group, everybody's like, oh my God, that was spot on. That was right. Oh my God. And then it's astounding when you read it. I mean, like there was somebody, not this month, the 1 month before, she just said, oh yes, I'd like a reading, whatever deck you like. So I just picked a random deck, did a random reading, and it was about self-identity. And it turns out that she'd recently stopped using her married name and went back to her maiden name. And so she had been talking to someone about self-identity, and she had been thinking about, should I continue on using this name or this name? And a card came out, and the reading was about identity. So it doesn't really matter about the deck. You can use any deck. It's just about, and when I say clarity of intention, it doesn't, because oftentimes when I'm reading for people, doing, you know, one-to-one readings, they'll come and they'll sometimes, and I would say people, I don't really need, you can tell me what you want me to do the reading about, you don't have to. And actually, quite frankly, I prefer not to know, because then I'm not influenced in any way by what I say. But even when people say, oh, I want it to be about, I remember, and actually it's on my website as a testimonial, where he asked about one thing, the cards were talking about something completely different, and that's actually what he wanted to ask me about in the first place. So his testimonial is on my transformations website, www.transformationsgm.com. I think it's under services or something like that, but there's a whole page about angel tarot, or just do /angel tarot. You can read that there. So even though what came out of his mouth was one thing, what he secretly wanted to ask about was another thing, which he didn't. He just went with the other thing, and the reading was about the thing that he wanted to most ask about. So it doesn't really matter about the deck. So if there are any further questions, we're going to bring this to close in a minute or so. So if there are any other questions, if there are any other queries, drop them in the conversation thread, or you can send them via Messenger while I've got it open. And if not, we'll bring this to a close. Oh, and for those of you who like Runa, yeah, actually, if you did the higher self therapy piece, actually, let me see if I can find it. I think I've actually got it in the stack, because I was using it for something before. Yeah, this was the one. So for those of you who took part in the Higher Self Therapy, Huna Higher Self Therapy teleseminar this week, thank you so much for the feedback. This one was freaking crazy awesome, and is a little bit like a card thing, because what had happened was she was sent me a really lovely email, which she has given me permission to share. And she sent me a really lovely email. She was writing about how it was working for her. But one of the things that she said, which was like, whoa, that's freaky. She said she said, when you're doing the Huna rounds, I saw a red triangle. When I closed, here it is. So she says, that was lovely. While you're doing your intro and preamble, I was jotting down what I wanted to work on. And then just before we started, I think I got to the crux of what I really wanted to work on, exclamation mark. There's a bit of a list, and so hopefully I'll have time to do it again. Yes, you will. It says, initially my third eye and throat, heart chakra and solar plexus all felt compressed, and it was uncomfortable to say the least. After the first round of Huna, I sensed a triangle of fire. After that round of Huna, I closed it with a triangle of fire. And I sent her the photograph of it. She's all the way in Australia. I'm in Watford in the UK, just outside of London. So she wasn't even on the live call. She was listening to the recording. She then says, during and after the second round, I felt the pain being drawn out of my body via my heart center. I slowly began to feel lighter. My heart center opened more than previously, and I felt like I was glowing from the inside out. And as I'm typing the phrase, as if the light of my soul is now able to shine through my heart center comes to mind. The third round gave me a sense of my heart center expanding into the universe. And now I have a sense of feeling more open. And I believe I have totally cleared the blocks. I feel confident, happy, open, positive, and I'm glowing at the joy of it all, which is wonderful. And that's a lovely lady called Pippa out in Australia. And she's an intuitive healer. She's a meditation guide. And her company is called Room for Healing. Amazing, incredible healer. So if you want to look her up, it's www.pippa, P-I-P-P-A, Neve, Neve.com. So do check her out, check out her work. And then she messaged again, because that was day before yesterday, to say that she's still, number one, she says, thanks for sending me the red fried triangle so you can see what it looks like. Never ceases to amaze me how this stuff works. And she's still basking in the glow of all of that, which is absolutely lovely. So if you took part in that, whether you were live, whether you took part, whether you're listening to the recording, I always say to people, the energy definitely travels into the recording. So, enjoy. What is that one? I'm not sure, actually. I think it's something like, I think I'll call it Higher Self therapy.eventbrite.com, something like that. And you can purchase the recording of that. But what I'm going to be doing, which I think is very exciting, and those of you who have maybe taken part in my angel tarot and Huna readings will know a bit about this. But what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be running a Huna and Access Consciousness Energy Clearing teleseminar later on this month. And this is kind of exclusive, you can't just buy a ticket or book on the way you normally can. This is for a cause that I'm currently supporting. That's where I was today. So if you wanted to take part in that, where we're going to do the Huna, we're going to do the energy clearing, we're going to do the access consciousness, you can put on the table whatever issues you want to work on. And again, with the thing with Pippa, I had no idea what Pippa was working on. I'm pretty much just taking people through the guided Huna and higher self therapy clearing, and I'm doing the Huna symbols, but it still works in wonderful, mysterious ways depending on where people are at. But if you wanted to take part in that, what's required is a donation to, and so it's my GoFundMe page, gofundme.com/autism and art. So the word autism, and art. So that's the way, if you want to join me for that one, to do some Huna, to do some access consciousness, open to anyone. But it's not a case of booking a ticket. You make a donation, and donation is your choosing. So rather than me setting a price and going, right, it's 20 quid or it's 50 quid or whatever, you choose the price. But that's the way you can get involved with that one if you would like to join me. So it'll be lovely, lovely to have you. And for those of you who have done the angel, there was a time for a year and a half or so, I did the monthly Angel Tarot and Huna big clearing calls. And so the HUNA and the access that I do on those is what I'm going to be doing on this one. I know already that one of the pieces I'm going to be working on clearing was something I was talking about last month. We're noticing a lot of healers and therapists, what you might call light workers, are really struggling in terms of kind of getting their work out there, being seen, so feeling a bit down, feeling a bit despondent. So I'm definitely going to put into the mix the messages and emails I received about that. We'll do some HUNA and access on those, and then it's whatever you want to put into the mix. So if you want to join me for that, it will be wonderful. Date hasn't been agreed yet, but really it's almost like the date is kind of irrelevant, because as you've seen from Pippa, the energy will carry through to the recording. And I've had people listen to my HUNA and access recording five years after the fact. They have still felt the energy. So I'll put links for all of those in the description of the video, and in the chat if you wanted to join us for any of that. But thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. And for those of you who had your reading, I'm also going to post this in the membership group as well, so that you can see it there. But yeah, all good fun. So I'm totally caught up now for Tarot Tuesday. Woohoo! And wishing you all a fabulous rest of your weekend. Actually, let me just have a little check, just to see if there are any questions before I bring it to a close, having invited you to put questions in. Let me just, sorry. Come on, iPad, wake up, darling. Da, da, da. Sorry, let me just go back to... Messenger, see if there's anything else before. Sorry, getting slightly distracted. Live at ATL Reggae in the Park, very nice. Might have listened to that in a minute. Oh my god, the autism thing. While we're talking of HUNA, while I'm waiting for this, I met someone with high functioning autism today. She was explaining that she her book, and chatting to people. I did an interview with her, which lovely Tally will post next couple of days, but she was explaining that with the high functioning autism, she said, having been at a day like today for a couple of hours, she's now going to be on bed rest for at least a week. And she said she calls it a shutdown, where she could feel the shutdown coming. And so I just said to her, I says, look, she never heard of HUNA, of course. And I said, I do this thing called HUNA. She said, what is it? How does it work? And there were some dolls on the table. So I held the doll and I was like, and I said, this is how it works. I said, but that will be you. And I said, what is it you want? I said, we can do things for calming things down. We can do things for firing up. We can do things for clearing your energy field. We can do things for clearing your head. We can do things for, let's say, opening up the crown chakra, the third eye, the heart, whatever it might be. So the thing that Pippa was describing when I did the whole thing about opening the heart and the fire energy. So she said, oh, calming down would be good. And so I did the HUNA. We're just standing in the middle of the gallery and everybody's walking around looking at the art. And I did the HUNA. And her face when I was doing it was just a picture, just beautiful. And after it, she laughed because she said, oh my God, she said, I can't believe it, I've lost the words. And then she was showing me what she felt, and she was doing this and kind of doing the movement. And one of the symbols that I use predominantly in the Avaiku, the HUNA guide that I called on to do that work, is the one which is about the water element and the water elementals. And the way that the water elementals tend to flow through the system is like this. And that's exactly what she felt. And she smiled and she says, I feel calmer and I feel clearer. Whereas previously I was talking to her and I said, when you feel the shutdown coming, is there anything you can do? And she says, no, I just need my bed rest. And so it's going to be really interesting over the coming days, just to see how that unfolds. But it was really lovely because, and the reason it kind of struck me is earlier on today, I was on one of the autism websites, and it's almost like there's a massive disclaimer saying autism is permanent, autism cannot be cured, there is nothing you can do and it was just like, whoa, that's a bit scary. But I guess, making their position clear and not making any claims about healing, because we all know how that goes. And so I went with that statement was in my head today as I went to this to the event. But it was really lovely just to see the immediate change and have her feel it as well, and be able to eventually articulate it in terms of how she was feeling, which was really, really lovely. So, you know, that's the energy that we're going to be using on this call for the Huna, and we'll do the access consciousness as well, which is just a really great way to fry the neurology and shape things up and move stuff around. So I think we're good. I don't think I've missed anything in terms of questions. So thank you for joining me. Wishing you a wonderful rest of the weekend, and look out for the next Tarot Tuesday thread. So I will catch you all later. Bye bye.